Hey guys, welcome back to the show.
Yep, for another week.
Another week, another movie. And this week's movie is Spider-Man Homecoming.
And what a welcoming to the Marvel Cinematic Universe this was. Although we
Yeah.
had that slight introduction in Cap America Civil War, this time it was his own place, his own world.
Yeah. Now, we know what you're all thinking because we all went in thinking it too. We've seen 5 Spider-Man movies, and yeah, we sat through all 5 of them. You know,
We did the hard yards for you.
yeah, you, our loyal audience. Now, we know what you're thinking. You know, we've seen this already. Why on earth would we get another Spider-Man movie starting again?
Can we do it? Can us? Can the audience? Can we do it again?
But
Thankfully, Marvel had that exact thing in mind when they made this film.
oh, didn't they just?
They had us at heart and in mind when they made this film, and
Yeah. Look,
thank you.
we can't spoil anything for you. We really can't, and we've been discussing for what feels like forever before filming this, just to make sure that we don't spoil anything. But look, we can't stress it enough. You are watching a very, very different Spider-Man movie.
I've been quoting the same line the whole time. This film is an origin film.
Yeah.
But not the same Spider-Man origin film you've seen, twice before now, and in countless times throughout comic books, and cartoons. This is a a Marvel Cinematic Universe variant of Spider-Man.
Look, we'll be upfront about this right now. If you don't already know, this is the first Spider-Man movie to actually be made by Marvel. Sony have made the other 5 films. Yeah, they made it with Marvel's name in there because they own the rights, but this was a Spider-Man movie made by Marvel, distributed by Sony, and it's an entirely different beast. Now, obviously, some things are kept intact. This is Peter Parker. He is Spider-Man. He has an Aunt May. Yeah?
Yeah, that's the world of Spider-Man.
And he lives in New York. Yeah.
That's Queens, in fact.
Yeah. That is basically where the line is drawn. The rest of this is fresh, different. It's still Spider-Man. It's still the comics that you know and love. But damn,
But the interesting thing about this film is that you said it best earlier on when we were trying to think of ways to be able to discuss this in a review, and you said that
it's hard to discuss
this is just your local neighborhood Spider-Man and
friendly neighborhood
Spider-Man. Jeez, what am I talking about? And of course, yeah, shush. But this whole movie is that in such a grand scale of this now being part of, the Avengers world and Marvel world. No. This is really kind of right down to...
It's a very self-contained story.
Yeah.
And in this era of universe building and world building and, everything has to tie in, where every movie starts feeling like a trailer for the next one, this was a perfect self-contained story. Much in the same vein of Ant-Man. I've been saying this all evening. They basically had the Ant-Man playbook of how to tell a good character-driven story and still keep it within the realms of the MCU. And they've taken the spirit of that and then they've made their own fantastic film.
Yeah, look, I thought it was interesting. It was really strong character development on both the side of Peter Parker and Spider-Man. But also the villain. I thought that...
Yeah.
I thought that the villain in this film was really well told, and also great explanation behind them and who they are and everything like that.
Yeah.
We sometimes miss that. Sometimes it's skimmed over, but they did a great job at going into that sort of detail and depth.
Yeah, so Michael Keaton plays the Vulture, and other than that, we won't go into too much detail about him, except that, it's very upfront, even in the trailers. He is a man that is out there to look after his family, the ones he loves, his crew, and they establish it very early on. in the film, and it's a running trend throughout the entire story. It makes it feel a little more personal,
Yeah,
and
but that was a constant theme throughout the whole film, and even even within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think we're a little bit tired of the world beaters, people trying to go and take over the world. So it was kind of refreshing, and it was sweet, but also a bit, a bit refreshing to see someone that wasn't doing that.
he was a character that just made you ooze empathy for him, and you understood where he was coming from. And he talks a lot about the little guy, him and his co-workers and that, and you are made to feel a lot like him. And on the flip side of the coin, you've got Spider-Man, who
He's a little guy.
Yeah, I was saying this, earlier when we got out of the film, that these guys are fighting the same battle from different angles. And it's a very interesting dynamic watching them clash.
What was really nice as well in this film was the fact that although it was a character developing story, it still, like you said, it told a complete story, and it also gave you moments where it was surprising, and it was emotional, and it was it was totally captivating. And I thought the fact that they were able to do so much in that time was phenomenal. They told a grand story in this.
It was a bit of a roller coaster, and you know what? That's the whole point. Peter is 15. He's going through an emotional roller coaster, and the audience is taken through that. The whole concept of him being a superhero essentially serves as an allegory for him being a teenager and wanting to prove he's a man and this, that, and the other. It embodies what it is to be a teenager in high school. It just so happens that it tries to tell that through the lens of being a superhero as well.
Look, and it's not a spoiler, but or I won't spoil it, but this film, it had probably. I haven't been so breath taken away from in a film this year than this one. Genuinely.
We've got to say there were a couple of moments in the screening we were at, and we were a packed out screening, and there were a couple of moments in this film where the entire audience just went dead silent.
Yeah, it felt like it was a soundproof room, like completely muted and muffled.
For several seconds. There were moments of complete and utter shock for various reasons. There were at least 2 or 3 moments of this, and each time it was for a completely different reason, but the entire audience just shut down.
It told a terrific story. It's a review, and it's hard to review without giving away spoilers. But
it's very hard.
But like honestly, when we were in the car heading back here to do this review, we said to each other, this film is dead set a must watch. Like, that's it. You have to watch this film. It was just so good. And on that note, should we get to our...
We should definitely get to our reviews.
It's tough but easy. Personal score, absolute, it gets a 9. It gets a 9. It was probably my favourite Spider-Man movie. It's one of my favourite Marvel Cinematic Universe movies for the year. It's one of it. I can't remember what the other scores I've given, but it's got to be up there.
I think it's definitely one of the best films we've seen this year.
Yeah, such a great film. Like, I'm so excited and happy after seeing that film. I haven't felt this good after seeing a film in such a long time. Technical score, I'll give it an 8. I give it an 8 because the story was phenomenal. Character development was phenomenal, and that's one of the hardest things to convey in a film. And they did it amazingly. It suffers from Marvel's kind of, to me...
MCU syndrome.
but in the sense of animation. The CGI in it, I've never been happy with Marvel's CGI. They've always tried to do a little bit too much or be too realistic, and it looks a bit fake against real life.
Comes up cartoony.
Yeah, but look, I can understand it. I can understand it, and I get that it is animation and they're trying really hard, but it looks a bit fake, so it kind of makes you step back a little bit. Besides that, though, everything else is fantastic. It didn't have the colour spectrum of other Marvel films as well, which was really refreshing. So a 9 personally and an 8 technically and unbiased, I think.
All right. My technical review of it, because I always do them first. I'm also giving it the 8. And the reason I'm giving it the 8 is it's actually a plethora of reasons. I'm going to kick off with the writing. The writing is spectacular because they have crafted something original out of something that is so well worn and well trodden. You know, we're all sick of seeing Spider-Man films being churned out, especially when this was a beloved character. I know personally, I've always loved the character, and now they've made it fresh and new, and that is definitely attributed to
100%.
damn good writing. The score for the film, because I have to talk about the score for this film.
Yes!
Michael Giacchino, one of our absolute favorite composers, did the score. Not only did he do the score, he paid homage to the score of the theme tune for the TV show from the 60s. He did all the right things, pardon the pun, but he hit all the right notes. He really did.
Bing.
He really, really, really did. Visually filmed incredibly well. The angles that they shot at, even the practical effects. There was a moment where something could have been done very well with CGI, and they chose to do it as practical effects, and I noticed it straight away, and it just, I was grinning in the cinema because it was a know-nothing scene, but they chose to do it with practical effects for a few seconds. I went, damn, that... I just had so much more respect for the production. So yeah, 8 out of 10. Oh, and of course the performances. I mean, we've talked about that a fair bit. Tom Holland is amazing as Spider-Man. Just absolutely amazing as Spider-Man. And as amazing as he is as Spider-Man, he is even better as Peter Parker. He is absolutely the epitome of a teenage Peter Parker. And what, Marissa Tomei as Aunt May, Robert Downey Jr., brilliant. Jon Favreau is back as Happy Hogan, and
nails it.
He is a scene stealer. He really is. That's why we cherish his moments in the MCU. And yeah, now my very biased opinion, I'm giving it the 9. I'm giving it the 9 because I thoroughly enjoyed it. It is definitely one of the best films we have seen this year. It is one of the best MCU films, period. Just, it would make my top 5 in the MCU, no question whatsoever. It is the Spider-Man film that we deserve. We, the fans, deserve this movie. They knew we deserved this movie. Heck, Marvel felt like they deserved the opportunity to make a good movie, and they delivered on that promise.
100%.
And I personally cannot wait to see Spider-Man return, not just in the Avengers films, but in his own films. I want to see more of this.
Nailed it. Please tell us what you think of the film. Go and see it, and then tell us what you think of it in the comments below on Facebook at the 35th Mil, and or check out our website as well.
WordPress.com/the35thMil or the35thmil.wordpress.com.
Yes, exactly.
Whichever one works for you. Check it out, but mostly head to the Facebook page. We respond to whatever you put up on there.
Anything.
Yep. Even if you just want to say, hey,
yep,
we're sick of seeing that Family Guy poster in the background.
It's a legendary poster, though.
I agree.
What
but,
the deuce are you staring at? Says Stewie. One final thing, Tom Holland. Oh, what a legend. You know what? I'm a huge fan of the PlayStation games, Uncharted. If he is going to play Nathan Drake, I am now... he gets my tick of approval, and I really, really am protective of those games. He gets my tick of approval. He's legendary.
We know we've gone a little bit over time this week, but we accounted for that because we really, really love this movie.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to share how much we loved it with you guys.
So excited and happy.
We're assuming none of you are rookies with this, but we feel we better shout it out anyway. You know the drill with the credits. Stay to the end. You won't be disappointed.
Yep.
And that's all we'll say on the film.
Indeed it is.
Until next week.
Yep.